Welcome to episode 4 of my 15-minute crochet series. Today's 15-minute project is a no-sew mini octopus. This is actually the same pattern as the one I made 2 years ago, but the instructions for this should be slower and easier to follow for absolute beginners. For supplies, you will need a super bulky size 6 yarn. You can use whatever yarn you want, but this is just an example of what I use. Then you'll need a 4.5mm crochet hook, a darning needle for optional sewing later, then some scissors, some polyester stuffing, some 8mm safety eyes, and then keychain accessories if you want to make it into a keychain. The first step is to do a slip knot. So first you take your yarn and you hold it like so, and then put your left hand like this with your pointer finger in the middle, and then insert 2 of your right fingers at the top loop. Then twist your left hand, and then these 2 right fingers will grab this yarn and pull all the way up until it makes a slip knot. And then you insert your crochet hook, and then you adjust it so that it is the same size as the hook, like so. And then we're going to do 2 chains. So you yarn over and then pull through this loop, and then you yarn over again and pull through that loop. So now you have 2 chains right here. It'd be difficult to see because it's like fluffier yarn, but there should be 2 V's right here. So you insert your hook on the first chain right here. This is how it should look like, and then you make a single crochet. How you do that is you yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over again and pull through these 2. Okay, so that is how a single crochet looks like. You have to make 6 single crochets into the exact same area. So basically the first chain one that we did, you're going to put all 6 of your single crochets inside it, like so. As you can see, I'm doing my 3rd single crochet, and then you're going to keep going until you have 6. So this the section that you're putting the stitches in will probably get more loose as you go because you're putting more stitches inside of it. So make sure to keep it as tight as possible so that the hole doesn't get too big. So after finishing your 6 single crochets, this is how it should look like. And then over here, I'm pointing to the first single crochet that we ever made, and we're going to insert our hook inside it, like so. So as you can see, there's a V. Oh, a little bit difficult to see, but there should be 2 loops. And then you make a slip stitch. So you yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Okay, so now you've made a slip stitch, and then you do a chain 1 to start the next row. So for row number 2, we're going to do an increase in every single stitch, which means putting 2 single crochets on the exact same stitch. So here's my first single crochet, and then on the exact same place right here, you make another single crochet. Now you've just made an increase. So on the next stitch over, just right next to it, you will do another 2 single crochets. So at the end of this row, you should have 12 single crochets overall in that row because you've increased from 6 to 12. Okay, so after your 12 single crochets, this is how your row should look like. Once again, you're going to look for the first single crochet you did on this row right here, and you make a slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through that stitch, and then pull through the loop on your hook. And then you're going to do a chain 1 to start your next row. So for this 3rd row, you're going to do 1 single crochet on this first stitch. And then on the next stitch, you're going to do an increase, which, as you know, is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So this is 1, and do it again on the same stitch. And just repeat the pattern. So on the next stitch, you do 1 single crochet, and on the stitch next to it, you do an increase. So you're just going to keep repeating the pattern until you're done the row, and make sure you have 18 stitches overall. Okay, so now we're at the end of the row, and this is how it should look like. And once again, you're going to look for the first single crochet right here, then make a slip stitch, and then a chain 1 to start the next row. Okay, so for the next row, all we have to do is do a single crochet on every single stitch. So just go all the way around this row and you should have 18 stitches overall. Okay, once that's done, just do the slip stitch again on the first single crochet and then a chain 1 so that you can start the next row. And as you can see, it's starting to curve or cone a little bit. So the plushie is taking shape. Okay, so for this next row, we are first going to do a decrease. A decrease is just putting 2 stitches and making it into 1. How we do that is we insert our hook through here, like so, yarn over, pull through. Now you have 2 on your loop, 2 on your hook, and then you insert onto the next stitch. You yarn over, pull through, and now you have 3 loops on your hook. And then you yarn over and pull through all 3. That is a decrease. Okay, you've basically made these 2 stitches into 1. And now you're just going to do a single crochet all the way around for every stitch. And since we had 18 stitches on this row, like in the previous row, but because we did a decrease, you should have 17 stitches now once you finish this row. Okay, and then once that's done, you just do a slip stitch on the first stitch that you made on that row, and then a chain 1 to start the next one. Okay, so for this row, we're first going to do 8 single crochets, just one after the other. After the 8 single crochets, we're going to do a decrease. So insert your yarn, yarn over, pull through, go to the next stitch, insert, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. After that, you're going to do the rest of the row in single crochets again. And at the end of this row, make sure you count that you have 16 stitches overall. And then don't forget to do your slip stitch and chain 1 before we go to the next row. Okay, as you can see, your octopus should be starting to take shape now. And now for the next row, we're just going to decrease all throughout. What that means is you're going to decrease on this first stitch, like so. And then you're just going to repeat that. So you go to the next stitch and do another decrease, like so. And that means at the end of this row, you would have decreased the 16 stitches and turned it into 8 stitches. So make sure after you do this, you have 8 stitches overall. This is very important just because octopus usually have 8 legs. Okay, now we just finished those 8 stitches. We do our slip stitch, but we're not going to do our chain 1 yet. So as you can see, we've really decreased the body of this octopus. The hole got a lot smaller, and now we're going to start on our tentacles. So first, we're going to do 3 chains. So this is 1, 2, and then 3. And then we look for the next stitch, which is right here. And then you do a slip stitch. So you just yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook, like so. So it's hard to tell right now, but you've just made one little tentacle. And now you're just gonna keep repeating the 3 chains and then a slip stitch onto the next stitch, right here. And because we ended with 8 stitches in the previous row, if you can remember, then you definitely should have 8 tentacles for this row. So just keep going until you know that you have 8 total. Okay, so this is going to be my last tentacle, and this is where I'm going to slip stitch it. And then I do a chain 1 before cutting my yarn. So if you want to sew, you can leave a really long tail so you have room to sew, but if you don't want to, then you could cut it a lot shorter. For the next step, I'm just attaching my safety eyes. I'm putting it right here, 1 row above the tentacles. I'm using 8mm safety eyes, and don't forget to put the backing so that it doesn't fall off. And I put it about this far apart. Let's see how many stitches that is. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches apart. Okay, so now I'm starting on the bottom piece. You just need to do another slip knot, which we have demonstrated in the beginning. So make your slip knot and then insert your hook through that loop and tighten it so that it's about this big. And then same thing as last time, we do 2 chains again. And then into the first chain, once again, we put 6 single crochets inside. After doing the 6, once again, you just do a slip stitch on the first single crochet you made, and then a chain 1 before you start the next round. Okay, for the next row, we're going to increase for every stitch. So you should have 12 stitches overall. As you probably have noticed, this is exactly the same first few steps that we did for the body, but we're just replicating it for the bottom piece. Once that's done, just do your slip stitch and chain 1. Then for the last row, we're just going to do the single crochet and then increase on the next stitch. And then again, single crochet, increase on the next stitch. And you should have 18 stitches overall. And don't forget to do the slip stitch and chain 1 after ending the row. Okay, and now I'm just gonna cut the yarn. It doesn't have to be very long. And that is your finished bottom piece. So we're gonna set this aside and work on the body again because we're going to attach the keychain accessory. This is if you're going to make it a keychain, but you can leave this step out if you plan to just make it a plushie. So I insert it on the top like so. And before it comes out the other side, and make sure that it is going through at least 2 stitches so that it doesn't unravel the whole plushie immediately, so it's more secure this way. Now all we have to do is stuff the octopus. Make sure that it's stuffed really well, not overstuffed, but just stuffed enough so that it is able to hold its own shape. Then we take this bottom piece and make sure all the tails are tucked in like this. And then we just insert it like so. If you don't want to sew this, you just have to make sure that all the tails are tucked in, including the one that you see on screen right now. Make sure that is also tucked into the octopus. But I'm leaving this one out because I want to show the option of sewing the bottom piece as well for those that don't feel as secure without sewing the bottom. So as you can see, it's pretty secure actually, unless you squeeze it really hard or you throw it around or you're reckless with it. It should stay put. But yeah, let me take my darning needle and then I'll show you how it looks like if you were to sew this. It's a very easy step. It could be a little messy as well. So just insert this needle right here on the same stitch, insert it, and you'll see it on the other side, and then you just dig it into the bottom piece so that you know it is holding the bottom piece, and then you go all the way just straight across to the other side. Once that's done, you go to the stitch next to it and do the exact same thing where you look for the bottom piece but dig your needle through it so that you know it's cutting across that piece, and then go all the way to the other side again. So essentially you don't even have to really find the perfect stitch to put it in. It's basically just putting the yarn all the way across the body over and over again so that even if someone were to pull this bottom part out, it wouldn't come out at all. And you can do this as many times as you want. I do it maybe like 4 or 5 times until there's no gaps. And once that's done, you just make a knot and then you hide your tail, and that is it. For those who've watched the first version of this tutorial, I really hope that this recent one was more helpful and was more clear for absolute beginners. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Episode 5 should be out next Wednesday, and I'll see you all there.